So my name's Ella Gibbins and I'm a filmmaker, a producer, and I've been on my spiritual journey for the last 3 years. I'm sharing this message with you because from a very young age I've cultivated a deep, deep desire for something that I haven't seen very much on this planet, and it's peace. It's non-violence. And it's only in the last 3 years in my spiritual journey where I moved through a psychosis, and I've moved through so many different relationship traumas and troubles, understanding my emotions really deeply, that I've come to understand really deeply how we can understand our greater relationship to life. I've started working on a series of talks called Emotions and the Ecosystem. And basically directly from my personal experience of healing myself through the very traumatic experience of psychosis where all my religious fears came up, I came to understand several key topics which I believe will really support our greater world in moving from a place of pain to a place of wealth. My excitement is in sharing ideas on the global scale. And I guess what really gets me excited is how my personal journey and my personal story is the global context, and that I want to share those ideas with everyone. I want to show people how their personal journey is the global impact that they're having, to help them to transform their personal relationships, their personal traumas into light, into new discoveries, into new creativity that influences and creates a harmonious, direct circle around them, and ultimately ripples out to an ecosystem change. So this is my passion. Because I'm half Filipino as well, I've found that when I've taken journeys back to the Philippines and been overwhelmed by the poverty, wanting to do something, I finally am realizing that the way that we're truly going to support people in rising out of poverty or rising out of really constrained situations is by changing their minds, changing by the way they look at themselves. And this is the education I've directly had through moving through some of the darkest thoughts and the darkest manifestations. And I believe what's exciting about what I have to share on a global stage is that I have the personal experience in terms of moving through the mental states that are caused by that level of poverty in the mind, that level of constriction. But I also have this spiritual understanding of how this all relates to the bigger picture. So I want to start talking about some of the topics that I'm really excited to cover. So one of them obviously is I want to share how psychosis is actually about creativity. It's about transforming what you would have work against you, your energy working against you, into your pure creativity. And this was the beginning of my journey. I learned that psychosis was just the bigness of my energy working against me. And when I really, through so much inner hard work, understood how to move myself toward the light and lots of healing work, I was able to unlock huge levels of creativity. The biggest creativity I've ever worked with in my entire life has come not in spite of the psychosis, but because of it. Because I was clearing these huge belief systems, and underneath all that would be a new idea for a book or a new idea for a film. And an entire production company came out of me healing myself through the psychosis. And then a bunch of other topics were coming forward that was so exciting to me. I learned there was such a thing as real communication and connection. And it first starts with the way that we communicate and connect with ourselves. I learned that real communication is about the communication between what we fear and what we love, and observing what's surrounding us, almost as a creative artistic palette, seeing that pain to love are the hues that we have to work with, and we get to choose how we want to paint, constantly observing what comes back to us, choosing that which is light and choosing that which is love, constantly carving and creating a new life for ourselves. And I have just dramatically changed my life over the last 3 years because of this acute watching of how my reality is coming back to me. I started to get really fascinated by time, and a new topic that came to me was called Time as Perspective. I saw this topic was so fascinating and important for me to be sharing on a global stage, because I started to learn that time really is an illusion. For instance, when I first came into the psychosis, I had it because I had taken MDMA, and for the first 3 weeks after this night of taking MDMA, I saw time change immediately in front of my eyes. As I'd have a thought, a billboard would change. As I'd have a thought, I'd find that a building would change. And over these next 3 years of experience and observation and learning, I've learned that time is about energy. Time really is about energy and our consciousness. So it really is about the distance between what we fear and what we love, and how quickly we can integrate that and move through that. I'm really fascinated by this idea of time because I really believe that it links up to other ideas I've come up with, including the energetic economy. Again, just another observation over time. So the real economy that we're working with is not financial. Underneath that financial economy is an economy of energy. It's an economy of emotion. What we're really exchanging is emotional currency. And in my own personal journey, I've learned that the lowest point of that currency, or the lowest way you can value yourself, is through self-judgment. And then the highest way you can value yourself is through a sense of belonging. So that's that constriction to expansion. And the more of us see ourselves in our self-belonging, in our true value, the more of us are attracting each other at that high value and attracting the new synchronicities, attracting completely new ways of being and experiencing life. So this is the energetic economy. It's recognizing that our emotions are the currency that we're working with. And this is what we're stepping into, because my passion is supporting us in building a new earth. And what I'm also knowing that I'm here to do is I'm here to support the next generation. I'm here to be a bridge between the spiritual world and the practical material world. I'm here to support people who are working on big global issues like climate change, like poverty and wealth, like deforestation. These are my passions also, but my deepest passion is understanding emotions, and that's been my education of the past few years, a really, really deep education. So, for instance, another idea that's come to me, that climate change is really about judgment. Climate change is about judgment. Because within each of us is a powerful, powerful ability to create global change. But the only thing that stops us from creating that dramatic global change is the way that we've judged ourselves. And as I've personally cleared my self-judgments and cleared them and cleared them and cleared them, what has revealed is my way to contribute that's personal to me on a global level. And that is as fast as possible, in creating the biggest impact. And my understanding and my belief is that as each of us is clearing our own personal self-judgments, our own global solutions come forward. Our own global ways of helping repair this ecosystem as quickly as we can, and to connect with others who are working on that global level as quickly as possible. Well, that's what's exciting. That's what I know is here when we're clearing our self-judgment. So when I say something like climate change is about judgment, we wouldn't have created the systems that we've created that deplete the earth if it weren't for the way that we judge ourselves. Those systems are a reflection of our self-judgment. So yes, there's another topic that is a big encompassing topic of all of this called harmony and the ecosystem. And it's exactly related to everything I've been sharing. My understanding is that as we create harmony with our internal ecosystem, we get a reflection of an external ecosystem that is harmonious. As I have healed and created harmony in my internal ecosystem, I've had the most incredible people come into my life, huge healings. I've had things fall away that no longer worked for me. I've had more income come in, and I now live in my dream home. And that was all because of that internal work that I've been doing to create pure harmony, as well as all of the creative ideas that have been flowing to me. I have a really deep understanding of how to move through pain just by being present. But my understanding also is that it is in our pain that we unlock our greatest purpose. I've found that I'm here as a response to the idea of limitation. Because my biggest journey, my personal journey, has been from limitation to freedom. And one of the ideas that come through for me was that freedom is in the imagination. In some of my darkest places, I've had ideas land like freedom is the imagination. And it was only through believing that I was able to imagine my way to a new place, that it was able to come to fruition. But I also have not just the imagination, but the practicality of how I made that come to life, how I'm even standing here in front of you. When 3 years ago exactly to this day, I was in a hospital, completely overridden by the most horrifying negative thoughts. But it was only through writing "I believe in unconditional love" over and over and over and over, and imagining my way to a new future, that it just kept unfolding. And I know the power of this information because I know what I've gotten myself out of a box, a pure dark cage, into this huge bright light, turning all that negative energy into positive energy, and beyond that, moving into huge creativity and inspiring others with new films. This is what's available for everyone. And this is what feels exciting to me about the scope of my work. So you know what else is just really exciting to me? It's the idea of war and peace being within us. So I started a podcast where I started sharing these ideas. And one of the podcasts I talked about the idea of war and peace and inner landscape. So that is the origination of war and peace. In observing my journey, I learned that the real war and the real peace is within us. And it's about that emotional war, that emotional peace that we can cultivate within ourselves. So I was raised in a harder family environment, and I carried that emotion with me my whole life. So that even when I was on my spiritual journey, I found that it was hard for me to manifest finances. It was hard for me to manifest a house that I truly desired for myself, that inspired me every day, that felt good, because I had these beliefs that I didn't belong within me. And I really learned that's where our global war and peace is coming from. It's from the ways that we're judging ourselves internally and then allowing that to manifest outside without the awareness that we have the ability to change that into peace, and so transform our external world into peace and light. This is what I am so excited about with how I've been learning. I've learned to master the craft of filmmaking. And it's been totally my education in mastering the idea and the craft of energy. And that's what I'm totally here to teach. In my journey to a new home, I recognized it was all an analogy to a new earth. It was all an analogy to a journey to a new earth. So I found that my journey to a new home was totally about me finding belonging inside of me. It was totally about me finding that place of compassion and love inside of me, truly holding all those negative emotions in love, in light, and trusting in this vision that I had of a beautiful, new, inspiring house. And I'm standing in it right now. And I know that I saw that there's this analogy between a journey to a new home and a journey to a new earth, because it's in each of us finding that compassion and harmony and that love within ourselves and that sense of belonging, that we can truly create a united front, a united connection to each other, and to a greater sense of belonging, and to come up with the solutions to resolve these huge issues that we have. What my excitement is to inspire people like Al Gore, with ideas about emotions so they're not moving through their resistance, and to give them an understanding as to how they connect to these big ideas, to this greater ecosystem, how them changing their inner world and changing then their immediate political landscape, that is their personal political landscape, has every impact on their total political landscape of the entire world. This is my passion. I want to jump on stages and I want to share these ideas, and I want to share the power of my journey. My journey that has taught me how to rise out of literally a form of the deepest darkness, and I would have those manifestations, to realizing and being able to tune into pure harmony, my true natural frequency. One of the ideas that came through for me was called This Moment in and of Love. And I learned that the more that we focus in on our moment, the more that we truly love this moment, the more that we connect with other moments just like it, other people loving their moments, until there is truly a perfect ecosystem of love. My excitement is to ground a new earth. My excitement is to help us to build a new ecosystem through the education of emotions, how our emotions relate to the ecosystem. And my excitement is to work with the best people in the world to help restructure our planet, supporting them and supporting all of us to move from an emotionally aware place so that we're not moving in our resistance, but we're moving through pure emotional creativity and that source light and source love coming through with ease and grace and love. And yeah, so that is totally my excitement.